Emily planned the dinner with elegance. Handwritten menus, candlelight, soft music. Friends and family filled her apartment with laughter and warmth. Everyone thought it was about her promotion, her dream job finally secured. Jared stood beside her, playing the role of proud fiancé perfectly. No one saw what was coming. That was the point. She greeted each guest with grace, poured wine, smiled. But beneath that smile was something colder, sharper. Because tonight wasn't about celebration, it was about revelation. And Emily had rehearsed this moment for weeks. Everything was ready, including the truth. Earlier that day, Emily tested the speaker one last time. She had clipped it behind a wine shelf, out of sight, perfectly placed. The audio file was short, intimate, enough. She'd found it by accident, a synth device, a saved voice memo. Jared, whispering things to someone named Chloe. Room 614. A hotel she never stepped foot in. She didn't confront him. She copied the file, saved the moment, and planned this dinner with surgical precision. He would be exposed, not in rage, but in elegance. She didn't want an argument. She wanted silence and clarity. Halfway through the night, she tapped her glass gently. The room quieted. Forks paused midair. All eyes turned to her. She raised her glass. "Thank you all for coming. I have something to share." Jared smiled at her, not knowing the fire about to hit. She pressed a button behind her back. The voice filled the room. Jared's voice. Soft, intimate, saying another woman's name. Gasps, bit tea, stares, silence. Jared's face, drained of color. Emily waited for the clip to end before lifting her glass again. "To new beginnings," she said calmly. "Jared, your key no longer works." And then, she took a sip and smiled. Jared stood frozen, eyes wide, mouth half open. No excuses, no denial, just exposed, naked in his guilt. The guests sat in stunned silence. Friends, siblings, her parents. Anne-Marie's fork dropped. Someone coughed and looked away. Jared whispered, "Emily, let's talk." She shook her head once. "There's nothing left to say," she said, voice clear as crystal. He looked around, hoping someone might defend him. No one did. Even his own brother stood back, arms crossed in disgust. Emily never broke eye contact, never raised her voice. This wasn't revenge. It was removal. She turned, walked into the hallway, and handed a friend an envelope. Inside, keys, receipts, and a check for the last month's rent, paid by her alone. Jared followed her, voice low, desperate. "You ambushed me." She looked at him, calm. "No, Jared, you ambushed us when you opened that hotel door." He reached for her arm. She stepped back. "You don't get to touch me after touching her." "Oh, signed," he stammered, apologized, promised he'd explain everything. But Emily had already heard everything on that recording. She wasn't seeking reasons. She was delivering consequences. And that envelope, that was the eviction notice to their life. That night, Emily walked through the city alone. The air was cold, but her mind was still. She didn't cry. She didn't second guess. She had loved him, believed in him, almost built a future on him. And he threw it away for a whisper and a lie. She had rehearsed a million versions of tonight in her mind, but none felt as clean as the silence after that recording stopped. She didn't lose anything tonight. She just made space for something real. And Emily wasn't afraid of starting over. Not anymore. The next morning, Jared's things were in a box on the front step. toiletries, spare clothes. The framed photo they took in Paris, face down. Emily had changed the locks, passwords, everything. She even removed his name from the guest list for her company gala. He texted, called, left voicemails, all unanswered. He begged her to talk, said he made a mistake, but Emily knew better now. Cheating wasn't a mistake, it was a decision, and she had made hers too. No drama, no breakdown, just clean exits, the kind you never come back from. Later that week, Emily walked into her new role as executive director. The promotion Jared had pretended to celebrate, she earned it alone. She smiled at the receptionist, took the elevator with ease. Her name was on the door. Her schedule was full. Her power was intact. Colleagues praised her grace, none knowing what she'd walked away from. And that's how she liked it. Her life wasn't defined by betrayal. It was defined by recovery. She didn't share the pain publicly. She didn't need sympathy. She had something better, self-respect and a six-figure offer. And Jared? He was just a voice on a recording now. That weekend, Emily toasted again, but this time with real joy, surrounded by friends who showed up not out of pity but pride. They didn't ask about Jared. They didn't need to. They just danced, drank, and cheered for her future. Someone shouted, "To new beginnings," and she laughed, genuinely. This time, it wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming life. She had pulled the curtain back on a lie and walked out untouched. And now, she wasn't rebuilding. She was expanding. Her world had never been more hers. And that glass she raised, it wasn't for Jared. It was for Emily. Sunday morning, Emily woke without an alarm for the first time in months. No texts to decode. No tension behind a smile. Just quiet. Steady. Real. She sat on the edge of her bed, writing in her journal. She didn't write about Jared. She wrote about herself. About how she stayed too long. About how she finally left. About how she learned that love without loyalty isn't love at all. She paused, then wrote a single line. "I'm proud of me." Not because she exposed him, but because she didn't let it ruin her. And that felt like the beginning of something better. In the weeks that followed, Emily rebuilt in silence. She blocked Jared on every platform. She stopped checking if he tried again. One afternoon, she passed him by accident in the park. He was with someone new. Maybe Chloe. Maybe someone else. He saw her, hesitated, opened his mouth. But Emily didn't stop, didn't flinch. She kept walking, headphones in, heart unbothered. Because the old her might have paused. But the new her? She didn't waste energy on ghosts. She had miles to go, and better places to be. That evening, Emily sat with her mom on the balcony, wine in hand. Her mother clinked glasses with her gently. "You're stronger than I ever was." Emily smiled. Not because she needed the praise, but because she finally believed it. They watched the sun dip below the skyline, the silence warm and full. No need to talk about Jared. He didn't belong in this moment. This moment was about resilience, about softness that didn't break. She had been betrayed, but she hadn't betrayed herself. And that made all the difference. New beginnings weren't just words, they were choices. And Emily had made hers, boldly, beautifully, without regret. Emily stood beneath bright lights, addressing a room of rising professionals. Her topic? Leadership under pressure, integrity under fire. She didn't tell them what happened, but she told them what she learned. To trust your instincts, to build boundaries, to walk away when it's time. The crowd didn't need the details to feel the strength in her voice. Her eyes didn't shake. Her hands didn't sweat. She belonged here now, not as someone's fiancé, but as her own force. The applause at the end wasn't just polite. It was earned. She stepped down from the podium lighter than ever. Her story was no longer about what broke. It was about what she built. One evening she found an envelope in the mail, no return address. But the handwriting was instantly familiar. Jared's. She hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a short letter. No excuses, just silence on paper. He wrote about watching her rise, about the pain of knowing he ruined it. He didn't ask to come back. He only asked for forgiveness, for himself. For the first time, she felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness. She folded the letter and placed it on the counter. She didn't need closure, but maybe he did. And that was the last thing she ever let in from him. That night, she lit a candle and stood quietly in the dark. No ceremony, no tears, just peace. She thought about the girl she used to be, the one who smiled through lies, and the woman she was now, the one who wouldn't settle for half-truths. She whispered, "Thank you, Emily," into the silence. Not for being perfect, but for leaving when it mattered. She didn't need revenge, or applause, or apologies. Just that quiet moment to say, "I made it out." And not just out, forward. The flame flickered. She smiled, and let the letter burn. 1 year later, Emily hosted another dinner party. Same apartment, same long table, but everything had changed. This time, it wasn't about proving anything or unveiling secrets. It was just good food, real friends, and a woman fully herself. Laughter echoed through the room, unforced, unfiltered. There was no tension beneath the surface, no lies hiding in the walls, only presence, only peace. She toasted again, but with joy this time. "To choosing yourself," she said. And everyone raised their glass. And this time, no one flinched. The next morning, she signed her first solo business deal. No partner, no shadow. A brand new consulting agency, all in her name. She'd taken the pain, the public fallout, the betrayal, and turned it into strategy. Every mistake became a lesson. Every scar, a credential. Her clients didn't know her story, but they knew her strength. She didn't just bounce back, she redesigned everything. Her name was now her brand, her work, her legacy. She leaned back in her chair, sunlight on her face. No more whispers, no more lies, just her and everything she'd built without him. That night, she walked across the bridge she once crossed in tears. But this time, her steps were steady, her face calm. She paused at the center, where the wind met her hair and the city glowed below. This was where she first realized she had to let him go. Now, she didn't feel loss. She felt light. Some people implode when betrayed. She evolved. The toast, the letter, the silence, all part of the journey. She didn't need anyone to complete her story. She had become the story herself. And in that moment, she wasn't healing anymore. She was whole.